Hi, everyone. Welcome to this new buyer seminar. So glad you all could make it. We have a great presentation for you. I hope it'll be helpful for you and you'll learn a lot about buying your first home. We have some great, amazing individuals who have a lot of experience in helping new buyers just like you in purchasing and securing your first home. So I want to introduce you to Teresa Dempsey, who is a amazing and incredible lender, has a ton of experience in financing. And we also have Christine Osborne from Driggs Title, who can help explain how title helps to assist you in securing your home. So because of scheduling, I'm going to go ahead and let Christine go ahead and get started, introduce herself, and just tell her a little bit about what she does and what title does for you when you are purchasing your first home. So I'll turn it to you, Christine.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Christine Osborne with Driggs Title Agency. My office is located in Gilbert. And as a title company, we work with the agents and the lenders to complete and process all of the necessary paperwork that's needed for your closing. We run a title report to make sure that the property is free and clear of any encumbrances at the time of closing. If they are not, it is our responsibility to get all the necessary documents to clear those items off of the report. So once the file is closed, the only thing that shows on title is you as the new homeowners and the loan that you get with the new lender. And as things progress, we're always here to talk to you and answer any questions or concerns. I'm also the notary that 9 times out of 10 will meet with you to get all of your closing documents signed from the lender for the closing purpose. And I work with the lender to get those loans funded and recorded at the county.
It's perfect. Thank you, Christine. Yes, and just a little side note, Christine is amazing at what she does. She really is efficient. She's fast. She's super knowledgeable. Sometimes things get tricky. She is very creative and just knows how to get it done for you. And, you know, the title company that you use and the one that you choose to use. So as a buyer, you have more freedom in choosing who you're going to use. So I think it's really important that you select someone who really knows what they're doing because there's a lot of title agencies that don't have a lot of experience, and sometimes things happen and things come up on reports. And so it's really important you have someone who has the experience that they do to help guide you through that very important step as you are purchasing your new home. So thank you so much for sharing all that, Christine.
You're welcome. Have a great rest of the day, everybody.
Hey, same to you. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, so as she's logging off, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull up. I have a PowerPoint. I want to go ahead and share it with you all. So let me hold on one second. It's almost like I've forgotten how to do this. It's been a little bit. Hold on. Okay. Let me pull up the right screen. Okay, there we go. All right, can everybody see this? Can you see this, Teresa? Okay. All right, fantastic. Okay, so you're thinking about buying your first home. So I know we kind of rushed in the little beginning there, but let me introduce myself. My name's Amy Miller. I am on the Arizona Value Builders team with Keller Williams Sonoran Living. I've been on the team personally for 7 years, but the team that I work with has been together for 20 years at this point. So we have a very experienced team that all helps and collaborates with each other. One of the benefits as a buyer with working with a team is you have several individuals that are going to be supporting you through the process. So there may be times where you may not be able to get a hold of me. So you can always get a hold of somebody else on my team if you have something that needs to be answered more quickly, or if there's a home you want to see and, you know, I'm busy either helping someone else, or maybe I'm on a vacation or something, that we have a team of other agents who will be able to get you into that home right away. So that is one of the main benefits to you as a person that is looking for representation, to have a team. So I just wanted to give that little bit of tidbit uh, of a reason why you may want to consider working with a team. So, like I said, I'm with the Arizona Value Builders team. Here are some pictures of my team that I work with. Lynette Clemens, Anupama Kujar, and Gina Peter Shagan, and Jill and myself. And so there's 5 agents who work on this team together. And we just recently onboarded another agent who is also amazing, and her name is Angie. So once we get her going, we'll also include her as a support system in our team. So just to give you a little bit of information in regards to what agents do for you. You know, we're agents and we're advocates, and that's really our primary responsibility. When you're out looking for homes for yourself, it is super important to have your own separate representation. I know when I was a first-time home buyer, I didn't know. And so, you know, when me and my husband were looking, we just drove past homes. We'd see a sign and we would call the phone number on the sign. And um, and we thought that that was, you know, how you found your agent. You found the person that was selling the home and you would call them so you could ask them questions about the home. But what I didn't know is that that agent is really an advocate for the person that is selling the home. So it's really important that you have your own separate representation when you're looking at buying or selling a home. Because if you're using that same agent that is selling the home, they're going to have their seller's interest at heart. And for good reason, because that seller's agent is paying them to do that. So you need your own separate representation. And so it is so important that you choose carefully and that you select someone who has experience, who knows how to have your interests at heart and understands your own personal situation and scenario. Because let's face it, every person that is buying a home is going to have your own unique set of circumstances. So I always tell people when they're looking for their agent to look for someone who is highly skilled. Like I said, us as buyer's agents, we have a collaborative amount of years of experience, and with that, a lot of experience buying and selling homes. And so it's really important that you seek someone who has experience, who knows how to navigate when issues could arise or when problems come upon them. But our main job is really to make you feel supported so you don't feel like you're, you know, thrown into an ocean of buying a home and you just don't know how to swim through it. And so our main responsibility is to help you navigate that process as seamless and stress-free as possible. We also help you recognize, you know, what should be a more suitable home for you. Sometimes we have this idea on what a home should be, right? But a lot of times there's a lot of things we don't really know, a lot of things we're not really thinking about when we're looking for a home. So it's my job as a buyer's agent to help you to figure out what would be most beneficial for your own situation. Maybe that's the location. Maybe that's the size of the home. Maybe you have a budget that you really want to keep things in, right? As far as like your home payment and things like that. Like sometimes we don't know. Sometimes we think that a home payment is going to be this for this price of a home when really it's might be significantly more, or maybe it might be significantly less than you thought. So you could actually get yourself into a higher priced home. So there's just those types of things you got to keep in mind, but me as an agent will help you navigate through that. Um, we also, as buyer's agents, need to have expertise, right? Expertise in negotiating, problem solving, and also being able to help you from wherever you're at. Currently, right now, I have a buyer that is relocating from Montana. So I am going to homes, doing some looking, and really trying to find something for them while they are in Montana. And so I do a lot of like FaceTime and looking at the house. I really have it dialed in exactly what they're looking for. I know what location they need. And so you need someone who is willing to do that for you. You also need someone who's willing to stay calm under pressure and have genuine concern with every outcome, because sometimes things are going to arise. You might have a life change in the middle of purchasing a home. And so sometimes when that happens, instead of getting, you know, adding to your stress, I'm going to work on calming things down, making phone calls, doing things behind the scenes to help it lessen the stress and the pressure on yourself. Okay. So those are the main things me as a buyer's agent will do for you, and what a buyer's agent in general should be doing for you. Okay. So there's a certain amount of steps you need to take when you're looking at buying a home. And so we're going to go through some of those so that you can have a better picture on what a home buying process will look like for you. Some of the things we're going to talk about today are going to be the fears versus the facts about buying a home. And we're going to talk about the 10 simple steps to home ownership. Okay, so these are the fears that I feel like come up a lot for a lot of home buyers. The first one is that I can't afford to buy a home right now. And the truth is you don't know until you've done the math. You don't know what you can or you can't afford. Sometimes when we hear things in the media, or, we're hearing things from, people that are in our circles, either our coworkers, our family members, friends, they're going to all have these opinions about what it's like to buy a home right now. But the truth is, until you really look at the numbers, you don't really know. It might be a lot better than you even thought. And especially when you partner up with a great lender like Teresa, she can really help to alleviate a lot of that fear, because you'll have the numbers, just laid out right in front of you. So you know what makes sense. Another fear that comes up is you should wait until the market gets better. But here's the truth. If you were to go back a couple years ago, I'm talking about like maybe right after COVID, okay? There seemed to have been such an influx of buyers purchasing homes. And it was almost overwhelming for us as buyers agents, because we were going into homes with 20 or 30 other buyers going in over the same weekend. And so a lot of times we would be dealing with multiple offer scenarios, which created this sense of buyers trying to throw out money, maybe overpay for a home because they needed to do it to secure that home. So the benefit of working with today's market, we're not dealing with these multiple offers. So it's a lot easier to negotiate with the seller right now. Before, we were unable to negotiate things like concessions to help buy down your rates or to help pay for closing costs. And now we have more freedom to do that. Also, too, before we were waiving a lot of appraisals. And right now, we don't have to do that when writing an offer. We can actually negotiate if an appraisal comes in low. So right now is a fantastic time. There's a lot of buyers that are waiting on the sidelines, kind of waiting to see if the interest rates are going to drop. And if they drop significantly, then all those buyers that are going to be that are waiting like that are going to be looking aggressively again, and we'll probably find ourselves back to that sort of same scenario. Now, again, market conditions are change constantly, and there's no way to predict how things will go. But just based on our own personal experience, these are the kinds of things that we see come up. So there's never a bad time to buy a home. And if you need a home, now is a right time to buy. Okay. Another fear is that you don't have money for the down payment, right? And here's the thing. There are so many programs out there, lending programs that Teresa would be happy to share with you that can help alleviate some of that fear. There's a variety of down payment options available to you, and she'll be able to educate you on that. Another fear is I can't afford to buy a home because my credit isn't very good. Again, working with the lender, trying to, help you understand, what kind of loans programs are available to you, even if your credit is on the lower side. There are always some options available, okay? And even if it means that your credit is too low that you can't get financing right now, um, you can start yourself on a plan. And that's what I tell people that want to wait because of their credit, that a lender, a great lender, especially a great lender like Teresa, will be able to help you to know what your next steps should be to help you get on a path of creating better credit so that you can have more access to the better loan programs that you may be looking for. Okay, so those are a few of the main fears that I see. And today I wanted to go through the steps of buying a home and give some time over to Teresa so she can tell you a little bit more about financing because that's going to be really important to you. So the first thing is you just need to decide, right? You just need to decide to invest in a home, to buy that first home. A lot of times that's the biggest hurdle. There's a lot of fear that comes up with that, right? Like you don't know what to do, you don't know how to do it. That's why you need a great team. A great team will help alleviate all those fears. They'll be able to guide you through the entire process and walk with you step by step to get you through. So just know that the decision is the biggest part. And once you've decided, you've already started your path. Okay. I think goes without saying, but home ownership lays the foundation for a life of financial security and personal choice. It's because history tells us buying a home is a fantastic way to grow your own personal wealth. And I think it's important for you to acknowledge that and to help that in your decision-making process when you're purchasing a home. This is just a little graphic that kind of tells you a little bit about how equity works and, what this might look like. And this tells you a little bit about how a typical standard loan would look. I know there's other loan programs out there, 15-year loans, things like that. But this just kind of gives you a general idea. Okay. But I think it's really important to just understand that, you're going to be building equity as you go. Okay. Not only are you paying down your home, but you're building equity at the same time. Okay. The second step is finding your agent. I already explained to you why it's important to find a good buyer's agent, but I think that's one of the most crucial parts. The most crucial parts to me are finding the agent and finding your lender. They are the two that are going to be almost the two most important people in your home buying process. I already kind of explained to you what I would do as your buyer's agent. But I do want to bring up that when you do pick your agent, there is going to be what is called a buyer's representation agreement that you're going to be signing. This helps us to set mutual expectations in writing so you understand what I'm doing, why and how I'm getting paid, and what I am doing to earn that pay for you. Okay. It also commits me to finding the perfect home for you because if we don't have an agreement involved, right, then there's no like mutual commitment there. So it's really important to have that in writing. And it also confirms exclusivity between both of us so that I know that I am working for you and you know that I'm working for you as well. So we just want to know and have it in writing that we both agree that we are there for each other. Okay. So when to hire your agent? I would say right away. So hire your agent as soon as possible. I can educate you on market conditions, even if you're not buying a home right now, even if you're buying a home in 2 years or 3 years. It's really great to build a relationship with your agent now. I'll be able to educate you. I'll be able to tell you what's going on in the market. I'll be able to set you up on MLS subscriptions so you can see what's happening in your own neighborhood. Um, or if you're looking to relocate in the future, I can also set things up so that you can start seeing what houses are selling for, what kind of house you can get in for a certain amount of money. So it's great to hire an agent as soon as you start thinking about purchasing your home. Okay. So the third step is securing pre-approved financing. Now, this portion I'm going to turn over to Teresa because she's the expert in all things financing. So go ahead, Teresa, introduce yourself and I'll let you go ahead. Do you want me to pull my, do you have your own
I've got my own
PowerPoint?
PowerPoint. So
Okay,
if, let's see if it'll let me share. Oh, you gotta let me have a sharing option. So,
sure. Let me do that right now.
and while we're doing this technical stuff, I want to reiterate a couple of things. I've known Christine Osborne for, gosh, it's got to be 10 or 15 years. She is
Mhm.
so good at what she does. And she's actually helping one of my clients today. She's helping, and she's just phenomenal. And it is such an honor and a privilege to work with Amy and the Arizona Value Builders team. The amount of experience that team brings to the table is phenomenal. And it's what you want in this kind of market, just to make sure that your needs are being protected. You need someone like the Arizona Value Builders team and Amy. So I'm still not able to share.
Okay, I just barely made you host. So
Oh, you just did. Okay,
hopefully
very
you'll,
good. There we go. Now I
yeah,
can do it.
hopefully.
Right. So can you see my screen?
Yes.
And it says home loans.
Yes, it does.
Woohoo! Let's start from the beginning then. Um, my name is Teresa Dempsey, and I'm a senior loan officer at a company called Priority Financial Network. You see my contact information there. And I am passionate about first time home buyers and helping people move from renting to owning. So I know you will often hear that there's these great financial benefits to homeownership. But what does that mean? What does that look like? How does that actually impact your pocketbook? We're going to talk about that a little bit. There's three ways that I see it really making a difference to you in your wallet. And the first is owning a home is a forced savings account. As a renter, you're making a monthly payment. It reduces your landlord's mortgage balance. It increases their equity, but reduces their balance. So you're paying a mortgage. It's just not yours. In the case of a home priced at, let's say you were looking for a home priced at 400,000, and we did an FHA loan with 3.5% down, and I'll explain more about that in a moment. You would be reducing your own mortgage balance and increasing your equity, just your equity, by $3,930 a year, because part of the payment goes towards interest, right? And we know that in the beginning of a loan program, even more of it goes towards interest. But your forced savings account for the very first year in a new home could be as much as almost $4,000. So that's tangible, right? That's a tangible amount of money. But there's another one, your financial benefits of appreciation. And to me, this is the biggest one, especially for those of us here in Arizona. Um, we're going to look at national statistics. National statistics would show maybe 3% appreciation year over year, right? Does that sound right, Amy?
Yes, uh-huh.
Very good. Now, in Arizona, I think we tend to see it higher than that.
Mhm.
There are times when the market's down and we'll see less, but on average, we're going to see at least a 3% increase over time in the equity in your home. So on that same $400,000 purchase, after 1 year, the value of that home will have increased by $12,000. So now you've got that first slide, almost 4,000 that you've gained in forced savings, and the value of the home increasing for another 12,000. Tangible money that's increasing your net worth. And the third one is a little harder to monetize because we're talking about tax savings. And I realize not everybody itemizes their taxes. Many people just take the standard deductions. But if you are itemizing, you have a very good chance of saving some money on your taxes because you're paying interest on a mortgage. It's a mortgage interest deduction that you can take. Now, it's going to vary depending on your income, depending on your other write-offs and assets, but an average income, an average couple on that $400,000 home, I'm going to say is maybe $2,000 to $3,000 a year in savings. So if we look at the combined benefits, let's add all of these up. The forced savings, almost $4,000. The average appreciation, $12,000. Potential tax savings, maybe $2,300. In 1 year alone, in owning a home, your net worth has gone up by $18,230. Now, if you've ever looked at someone and wondered, how did they get so much money? How did they have so many assets? Well, their first step was probably homeownership, because this is where you really build those assets. Americans make more in homeownership than they do in the stock market, the average American. So I want you to keep in mind that there's even some not quite as tangible benefits to homeownership. For example, if you plan to raise children, homeownership tends to lead to higher cognitive and emotional support for children. And it might just be not having to move every year when your lease is up, but that's a great positive. Cognitive outcomes come 9% higher in math and 7% higher in reading. Behavioral problems tend to be reduced, and it results in higher education levels overall and higher future earnings for our children. This is all from a Harvard study done a while ago. I'm sure there's newer data, but it's real, it's tangible, or maybe in this case intangible, but it's important. It's fun to look at and consider. So Wendell Pierce said, that is the heart and soul of the American dream, homeownership. The idea of being able to buy a house and start to build your family. It's really a very special opportunity, and it's just an honor and a privilege for me to help. So let's talk in more detail. The steps for obtaining financing. I have a team. My team and I are here to help you every step of the way. We initially take a loan application and gather up initial documentation just to back up the information we put in the loan application. For example, if you say, well, I make, $26,000 a year. Well, we need to have pay stubs or W-2s or tax returns to show that we make that much money, right? If you say I have X number of dollars in the bank, well, we need to show the bank statements to just verify that. So once we have all the application and documentation data, we can do a soft credit pull, make sure there's no surprises, and then start verifying everything and issue what's called a pre-qualification. That pre-qualification goes to Amy, and now Amy knows how much you can qualify for and what houses she can take you to, that you can actually make an offer on. So the actual process of loan processing begins when you have a signed contract. So you and Amy look at houses, you eliminate what doesn't work, you find what does work, and boom, you put in an offer, you get it accepted. Amy will negotiate the heck out of it for you to make sure you're getting a great deal. And then we have a signed contract and we can open escrow and begin. At that point, we'll probably need to update some of your documentation, like newer pay stubs, newer bank statements, and we can submit everything to underwriting. Our underwriters are quick and efficient and wonderful, and they're going to say, hey, yes, this is approved as long as we just verify A, B, C, and D. Those are called conditions. We just have to have those conditions satisfied prior to final loan approval. And it could be something as simple as, maybe verifying that you've had the same bonus average for the last 2 years, or verifying that you're getting a gift from the parents and we need a gift letter or something like that. There's various conditions that can come up. But we go through that with you and we hold your hand and guide you, and there's nothing to be nervous about because you've got experts like myself and Amy to get you through. Once we get final loan approval and we fund the loan, we let Amy know, and then Christine at the title company is going to record the deed in your name. And once that happens, Amy gets to give you the keys to the house. That's the big moment, the big day, the big celebration. So how do we choose what type of loan to do? Well, there's a few different steps there as well. For financing options, a great starter first-time homebuyer program is just an FHA loan, because you can do as little as 3.5% down. So again, we're going to use the same amount of a $400,000 home, but we could be looking at less, of course. A $400,000 home on FHA would need a $14,000 down payment, and we'd need it roughly a 620 credit score. Our max loan amount is going to be loan amount will be about $500,000. And our max debt to income ratio is going to be about 50% of your gross income. And let me explain what that means. Let's assume that you make $4,000 per month before taxes. That's what we're talking about with gross income. We need the new house payment and all your other debt payments to not exceed $2,000. That's 50% of your gross income. So if you have a car payment, student loan payments, credit card payments, we have to make sure all of those stay under 50%. Now, to be honest, the guidelines say less than that. I just know that I can push it 50%. So that's something we can talk about as we're going through the process. The nice thing is that FHA will work with down payment assistance programs. So if that $14,000 sounds a little intimidating to you, we have ways to help. There, we're going to need to make sure your credit is higher. If we're going to work with down payment assistance, we're going to need at least a 640 credit score. And if you're at 620 and need help getting to 640, I can guide you there as well. Now, if you don't want to use down payment assistance, maybe you've got a family member willing to provide that down payment. It's allowed with FHA. You can get a gift from family. And the seller can provide concessions up to 6%. So the seller can even help you with some of your closing costs if you like. You are also allowed to have a non-occupying co-borrower, which ultimately means a co-signer. Maybe your parents or someone very close to you is willing to co-sign on the loan. Of course, with an FHA loan, we're talking about primary residences only. But this seminar is really for first-time home buyers. So hopefully you're not looking at this with an eye to invest for a rental property. This is really just for you to live in. So that's FHA, really a great place for us to start when it comes to a first-time homebuyer program. But the next option would be conventional. And there are some advantages going with conventional. For example, conventional would let us, for first-time homebuyers, go down to a 3% down. So now we're talking about only $12,000. It looks like I've got a typo in the screen where it says 3.5. The downside with conventional is going to be credit score. It'll let us go down to a 620, but it's going to punish us a little bit if we're not really in the mid-sevens with what's called LLPAs. Those are loan level price adjustments. So at certain increments below that mid 700, it's going to increase your interest rate if you don't have that stellar credit score. So if we're looking at the at the more challenged credit scores, it's much easier to get the good rate with FHA. And if we've got great credit, then let's look at the opportunities with conventional. We can go with a higher loan amount with conventional, up to 766,000, and we can sometimes still get up to 50% of your gross income for debt to income ratios. They will also work with down payment assistance with a 640 credit score. Gifts from family are allowed, but seller concessions now can only go up to 3%. So there's some limitations there. And again, this is going to be a very personal decision that we'll decide together, looking at the pros and cons, which one is going to be better for you. Now, if we have any veterans on the call today, and I'm hoping we do, we want to first and foremost, on behalf of all of us, thank you for your service. We just appreciate your sacrifices. And because you've done so much for our country, you get to make a 0% down payment. A nice low credit score is okay. 580 is wonderful. We can make that happen. And we can go up to that 766 loan amount. We also work with down payment assistance programs. And even though there's no down, you might be wondering, well, why would I need down payment assistance? But that assistance can cover all the closing costs. So if you're a vet and you qualify, you could buy a new home with literally zero out of pocket. So this could be a real advantage for those of you who have served our country. Gifts from family are allowed, and seller concessions can be allowed as well. So let's now backtrack a little bit and talk in more detail about these down payment assistance programs. There's a variety of them, and most of them offer between 3% or 5% in assistance. So, thousands of dollars to help you cover the down payment and some of the closing costs. As I mentioned, we need that 640 credit score. The downside is to get that money, you're going to pay a higher interest rate. Oh, that's the downside. They're going to make up what they're giving you in that higher interest rate. And they're going to require that you keep that loan for 3 years. If you sell the home or refinance before the 3 years is up, you're going to have to pay some of that money back. So I'll go over that with you in person so you really understand what we're talking about. And keep in mind, if you're a high income couple, maybe you're just still first time home buyers, but you've got really great jobs, you may not qualify for down payment assistance because they do have income limits on many of the programs, and some of them aren't available in every county. So it's, again, something we're going to look at on a case-by-case basis. So ultimately, the goal for Christine, for Amy, and myself is to have keys in your hand, happy homeowners who are so thrilled with how thoroughly and thoughtfully we got you through this process that you're going to tell all your family and friends about this. That's our hope anyway. Again, my name is Teresa Dempsey. I'm creating a happier path to home ownership. Please call or text me with any questions at all. I have some great tools, including an app with a mortgage calculator that you can use to play with numbers. And I'm here and I'm at your service. Amy, any questions for me?
Not at all. Thank you. That was very thorough and very great. And again, Teresa, she's an amazing advisor when it comes to helping you find that loan that's going to work the best for you in your certain situation. She's super creative. So, even if you think that you've got a really weird circumstance, she can really, think outside the box for you. So a huge shout out to Teresa. If you do have any questions, do reach out to her because she's happy to answer any of those that you might have. So thank you. Thank you so much, Teresa. I really
My
appreciate
pleasure.
that.
I'll turn this back over to you.
Okay, let's see. So just to quickly go back, we have a few more minutes. So let me go ahead and share my screen here. Oh, can you make me the host again?
Absolutely.
Let's see.
Oh, here we go. Forgive me. Just a momentary delay. I got it.
Got it.
There we go.
Perfect. Okay, let's see if I can do this. Here we go. Okay. Okay, so now that you've talked to Teresa and you've got your finances and all the documents sent to her, you're going to have what's called a pre-qualification form. And with that pre-qualification, we are going to be able to start looking. Just a few things that I'm sure Teresa will agree with me on is these are some basic things you need to think about when you're looking for a home and you've got that pre-qualification in your hand. Don't make other big purchases. I know it's tempting, especially if you have the budget to do so, but it would just make it more difficult to maintain that pre-approval if you're going out and you're making a big purchase. So if you're thinking about buying a car or doing something like that, please talk to your lender about that before. It could really make a big difference in being able to qualify for a certain amount. So make sure that you're asking those questions with your lender. So I always recommend don't make any big purchases. And don't be adding more credit. Don't be applying for more credit. And also try not to change your job. I've seen this happen before where somebody changes job right in the middle, especially if you're looking at a new build and you've started the new build process and you were pre-approved before, and then suddenly, 3 months down the road, you decided to change your job. You still have a few months left, and you're not going to have enough job history to still qualify possibly for that home. So try not to make any big purchases, don't add more credit, and don't change jobs. Would you agree with all that, Teresa? Yes. Okay. This will help you to make sure you maintain your pre-approval. Also, as a note on the bottom here of this slide, it says protect your down payment. I think that's great advice. Don't be spending it on other things. Just make sure you're hanging on to that down payment, so you'll have it available when you come to the closing table, because you're going to be needing to either send a wire or bring a cashier's check. So you need to have that money. Okay. So now that you've got pre-approved, you're going to want to identify your criteria. As I mentioned before, I'm going to be the one that's going to help navigate that for you and help you to decide, what home will meet the best for you. You might be thinking about purchasing a home somewhere and not really realize all of the things that might play a role in that decision. For example, like your commute times, right? It can make a huge difference in where you live. If you are traveling, say you want to purchase a home in Casa Grande and you are traveling to, say, for example, Tempe every day, right? You're going to have to understand the commute time, and you're going to want to take into account traffic. There's a lot of things that you need to be thinking about when you're identifying your criteria. So me as your agent will help you to help navigate through that process. Once you've identified your criteria, we're going to start finding you some homes to look at. And we're going to go and see these homes. We're going to preview them. We're going to go through them. Now, when we're looking at homes, we're not necessarily going to find any issues with the home during the time. We might see things that are pretty obvious, but there are going to be things that you're not going to be able to see. It may look like a perfect home from everything that you're looking at, but once we have an inspection done, you're going to probably find things about that home that could potentially be costly. So just know that as we're looking through homes, that you're going to have a period where you're going to be able to do all those investigations. You're going to be able to send an inspector out to the home and look at all of those things. Okay. So just keep that in mind. But we're going to be looking at homes. We're going to be finding, different areas, different locations, different types of homes. And you are going to, hopefully, with the goal in mind, to find the perfect home for you and your family. Okay. I usually always, when I'm going around helping you look, I'm going to limit probably the amount of houses we are going to see in a day. The reason why I do this is because if you're looking at more than 6 or 7 homes in a day, all of those homes are going to be jumbled up in your head. You're going to be forgetting which house had what. So I think it's really important to limit how many houses you see in a day. Again, I've done more than that before, but I don't recommend it. I just don't think it's a great idea. Okay. So I always recommend if you're going to be traveling and you just want to set aside say, for example, a Saturday or a Sunday to just look at homes, just to narrow it down to maybe 6, maybe 7 max. And then we're going to look at these homes and we're going to create a rating system. A lot of times when I take you into these houses, I'm going to say to you, okay, is this a home in consideration for you? Is this a yes or a no? If you say yes, then we're going to keep that home in mind. Okay. When we go to the next house and you like that one even better than the last house you saw, then we're not even going to consider that last house again. Okay. I think this is probably the best way to look at homes. So that's how I'm going to guide you through the process, because it can get too confusing when you start thinking about, 4 or 5 different homes. We are on the goal and a mission to find the house, which is the one house you want to buy. Okay. So, I just wanted to kind of skip through this. Actually, I wanted to go back. How can I go back here? Hold on. There's one slide here I wanted to go through. New construction. Okay. So with new construction homes, this is a big deal, especially in the area that I work a lot in, which is in Santan, Queen Creek area. And even out in Florence, there is a ton of new construction going on, a ton. In fact, just from where I live, which is off of Ironwood and Pima Road, um, everything from where I live to the 60 is all getting filled in with communities, master plan communities. There's going to be thousands and thousands of homes coming up, which is going to offer a lot of beautiful and amazing, incredible communities to choose from, and the benefits of purchasing a new construction home. Um, there are some amazing benefits and pros. This goes through those pros. First of all, the home is brand new. These homes have warranties that are involved. Usually a new build company will warrant the home from roof to foundation for an entire year. Some I've seen new builds who offer that same warranty for 2 years. You'll be able to pick your lot, your features and design in some cases, not in all cases. Sometimes there'll be what they call spec homes. And those homes have already got the features and the designs already locked in, so you won't be able to change those. But some new builders will offer you the opportunity to have some say in some of your features. You'll be able to lock in the price in the beginning. So even if it builds equity along the way, your price on that home isn't going to change. And right now, because the market is softer for sellers, you're going to find a lot of good deals out there. So there's a lot of pros. Some of the cons I feel are important to mention as well, because sometimes new construction isn't going to be the way for you. Okay. Some of these cons is these features. Sometimes when you're going into these design centers, you're going to find that a lot of these upgrades and features are going to add to the overall price of the home. And sometimes we get too excited and realize that the features that we really want, or the features that we see in the model home, for example, is going to take the home out of your budget. So I think it's really important to recognize that. Another con is the future of your neighborhood is uncertain. You don't know how long it's going to take for the community to completely finish and close out. There could be external things that are out of your control. For example, the roads. I know that that's a big concern out here. We don't know um, how we're going to fit these thousands and thousands of homes with the traffic, because they're not approving roads fast enough. So that can be a con, a major con, especially if you are planning to be driving into an office somewhere, and it could really add significant time to your commutes, which can overall have an impact on your lifestyle. So it's really important to take that into consideration. Um, Another thing is most of these new build communities you're going to find are not in all fantastic areas. There's a lot of growth happening, but it's going to take you longer in those commute times. A lot of the jobs that are around the area, especially here in the Phoenix Valley, Phoenix, Chandler, Gilbert, Mesa, you're going to see that if you're in these outlying areas, it might take you longer to access freeway systems. I mean, I know that they're projecting you to really build that up, but you're going to see that happening probably further out in the future. But as your agent, I can also help you find the resources you need to find out about roads and freeway systems. Another con could be that there's no new nearby amenities yet, um, especially if you're looking for things like bigger box stores like Costco is always a big deal for people, or Home Depot. So those things you need to keep in mind. Another con with a lot of new builds, unless you're looking at a spec home, there's no firm closing date. They'll give you kind of an estimation. And even in spec homes, sometimes they give you an estimation, like they'll say end of July or beginning of January, but they won't give you that specific date because they want to protect themselves in case there is a delay in labor or supplies or something of that nature. So just be aware of that. And that can be somewhat problematic, especially if you have a timeline. So I just really wanted to bring that up with you about new construction. But also one of the most important things I want to say about new construction is you need a real estate agent to represent you. Okay. I know that when you go into a new build community, you need to have an agent from that first visit. Otherwise, the builder is not required to allow you to have an agent represent you in that process or in that transaction. But you need someone advocating for you. You need someone who knows the industry, who knows how to negotiate with builders. Okay. So be sure, no matter what you do, if you're considering a new construction home, to make sure you have an agent supporting you and guiding you and representing you along the way. Okay. This takes us to step 6, which is to make an offer on the home. Okay, whether you're looking at new construction or you're looking at a resale, we're going to be making offers. And that's what an agent does. And an agent's going to be able to educate you, first of all, how much is that home worth? I think that's so important. I think even for me as an agent, if I were to relocate somewhere else in another state, say I wanted to relocate to New York or something, I have no idea how much homes are worth there. I would need an agent to really run comparable homes so I could really be educated on what the value of the home is. So I think that's super important to have an agent who has the resources and the tools to help you know how much that home will potentially appraise for and to help you to not overpay for a home. Okay. Another thing that we do is we help you with the terms. Okay. Um, we decide like when you want to close on the house, for example, how you're going to pay for the home. So if you're going to be paying for the home with an FHA loan, right? How much money you're going to be putting down. So I would know that if you were doing the FHA loan with Teresa, that you're going to be doing the 3.5% down. Okay. And so I think it's really important that you work with an agent because we'll be able to help you define what your terms are going to be to make sure it all makes sense for you. Also, in the offer, you're going to have what's called contingency. Let's see what this says in my slide. It says often referred to as conditions that allow you to opt out of a deal if the home has a problem. So yes, that is true. So for example, say for example, we looked at this beautiful red home here on this graphic and the roof is problem. There's a big problem with the roof, okay? It needs to be replaced, okay? That would be a sufficient reason for you to back out of the home if, for example, the seller tells you that they're not going to replace the roof, because that is a financial consideration. So that is a good contingency for you to back out of purchasing the home if a seller doesn't want to replace that roof. So if there's anything about a home that is a deal breaker, you have a 10-day inspection period that helps you determine what you will and what you won't accept. And of course, all of this is negotiable. We can ask a seller to help with things of that nature. Maybe an air conditioner has a problem and needs to be replaced. That is something we can negotiate. Another contingency that comes up is appraisals. So say, for example, an appraiser comes out and let's say, for example, this house is, we put an offer in for 400,000, but this house is really only worth 385,000, according to an appraiser, then that is a time for us to renegotiate. And if a seller doesn't want to agree to sell it for 385,000, then that would be a contingency that would allow us to opt out of the deal. Okay. All right. This talks about due diligence. We already talked about that. We talked about negotiations and all of that. So the final and last step is close, right? You get to close on your property. You get to get keys. And that's the exciting part of homeownership. And it makes all of your efforts and hard work worth it. And again, having a team with you to help you through the process will help you step by step and try to make it as seamless as possible. But our whole goal is to get you to that closing day, to get you those keys so that you can be an official homeowner. So that's the main goal. So that's it. That's really what I wanted to go through with you all today. I hope this has been super helpful for you. And what do you know? I wasn't even watching the clock and it looks like we ended right on time. So, of course, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to myself or to Teresa. We'd be happy to answer any questions that you have in regards to finding your first home. And thank you so much for your time. And everybody have a great day. Let's see. Now let's figure out how to end this. I know there's a way. Hold on. There we go. More. There we go. See you all later.
Thanks.